everyone, I'm Emma and today I'm going to show you a really fun and easy way to upcycle your old sofa covers and turn them into basket liner. All you're going to need for this project are your old sofa covers, like so, the basket that you want to line, and then just some basic sewing supplies. So needles, thread, fabric scissors if you have them, or just normal scissors, chalk or a pencil, and then a ruler or a tape measure just to measure out your fabric. This is a really great project because you can use it across all kinds of different baskets, so laundry baskets, bigger baskets, decorative baskets. It's particularly good for smaller baskets which you're using to store small objects in that might otherwise slip out. If you've got all your supplies, let's get started. So the first thing I did was cut out a rough piece of fabric for my slip covers just to make it a bit easier to work with. The next thing you're going to want to do is grab your basket and get the measurement. Start by measuring at the edge here and take it all the way around the bottom and up to the opposing edge here. So for me that brings it to 19 inches, and then I'm going to add 6 inches for seam allowance, which makes it 25 inches. And because my basket is a square, I don't need to repeat that measurement for the other side because it's going to be the same, but if you've got a rectangular basket, you're going to need to do that same process for the other side to get that measurement. So I've got my measurements and I've just marked them out here on my fabric. And I'm going to draw some straight lines to make it easier to cut. And then when I've got that, I'm going to take my fabric scissors and cut out the square. So now you should have your cut out square or rectangle of fabric, and you want to just put it down in front of you with the right sides facing you. Then grab your basket, try and center it as much as you can, and then you're just going to start pinning the sides up to the basket. Take your side of your fabric and then pull it straight up, tuck it in around the top edge of your basket and pin it directly into the basket. When you've pinned one side, just move around to the next side and do the exact same thing. And when you do this, you're bringing the fabric straight up like this. You're going to notice that there's this big corner of excess fabric, but do not worry about that, we will deal with it later. Just keep going until you've pinned all the way around. Now you've got all your top edges pinned down, we're going to deal with the corners. Pick your big flap of excess fabric like this and pinch it up as close to the corner edge as you can, and then just start pinning in a straight line all the way down as close to the corner as you can. This is going to make sure that when you come to sew it, you're going to be able to sew in a straight line. So using the pins as a guide, we're going to start sewing from the bottom corner all the way in a straight line right up to the top here. It doesn't matter what kind of thread you're using because we won't be able to see it. So when you're ready to sew, just grab your needle and thread, start at the bottom corner, just do a running stitch all the way up from the bottom corner right to the top. When you finish the seam, just secure it with a knot. Now that you've finished sewing, taking one corner, just hold it out and using your fabric scissors, try and cut as close to the sewn line as you can. And repeat it for all of the corners. So when you finish sewing all your seams, you should end up with something that looks a bit like this. And now we're just going to finish it off by folding down the top seam so we don't get a raw edge, and then putting in just a running stitch here. If you need to add a pin, you can do that as well. And then just repeat that all the way around so you do all your seams. So now that you've finished sewing your seams, you can go ahead and remove any pins you can still see. So when you're sure you've taken out all the pins, you can remove the basket. There's your liner. Put it back inside the basket this time. Tuck the edges over the corners. So there you have your very own personalized basket liner made from your old sofa slip covers. This is a really great project to do because it's so easy, and it's a really great way of using up old fabrics that you have lying around instead of sending them to landfill, and you're not using up any new materials. Tag us if you do end up making this project. We'd love to see what you make, and drop us a note in the comment section to let us know what projects you'd like to see from us next. Happy Earth Day!